Welcome to Armidale. In this video, I'm going to explore the abandoned stretch of line from Armidale to Wallangarra. Opened in 1888, it was the critical rail link between New South Wales and Queensland for over 40 years. Mind you, there was a break of gauge at Wallangarra from standard to narrow gauge. So let's dig a little deeper into the history and hopefully fly a little higher with the drone in these windy conditions up here in New England as we go exploring the Armidale to Wallangarra railway line.
The Great Northern Railway, also known as the Main North Line, was the original main line between Sydney and Brisbane. The first section opened in 1857 from Newcastle. It reached Armidale in 1883 and finally the Queensland border at Wallangarra in 1888. The line moved mail, freight and passengers between the capitals for years until a new, more direct coastal rail route between Sydney and Brisbane was built, without the break of gauge, in the 1930s. The last train to operate on the New South Wales section ran in 1988, but some freight and tourist trains ran as far north as Dumaresq until 2002. Queensland Rail freight services to Wallangarra ended in 2007. These days, a daily New South Wales train link service operates between Sydney and Armidale, where the line ends for now. The Heritage Station in Armidale opened in 1883 when the line was extended from Guyra. It was the terminus of the line for a time until it was extended to Glen Innes a year later. The loco depot closed in 1984 and the last regular service north of Armidale, the Northern Mail, ended in 1988. The line closed north of Armidale in the mid-2000s. Armidale is still an operational railway station with daily New South Wales train link passenger trains, but for now, it's again the terminus of the Main North Line. Dumaresq Station opened in 1884 as Eversley before being renamed Dumaresq in 1889. It's a beautiful brick structure and it's still in good condition with private owners, and good on them. Freight trains previously ran here to Dumaresq, primarily to deliver fertiliser, but this ended in the mid-2000s and the line beyond is obviously now closed.
Welcome to Black Mountain. Now the station here opened in 1884 as Buralong and was renamed Black Mountain in 1887. The line through here closed in 1987, but the station is still accessible and maintained by the Black Mountain Preservation Society. Let's go have a look. This is something I've not seen before in my travails around railway stations, and that's a hitching rail. Obviously, back in the 1800s, you got to the railway station by horse, and you needed somewhere to park it. Well, this is as close as we can get to the Guyra station building by the looks of things. It's now the home of a agricultural machinery and antiques museum, I believe. Well, up here in Guyra, this town is the highest town in northern New South Wales. We're up at an elevation of 1,330 metres. It's also one of the coldest towns in New South Wales outside of the Alps. In fact, it snowed here just the other week. I don't know whether you can hear it or see it, but the winds here are just a bit too gusty to be flying drones. So let's keep on moving.
Guyra Station opened in 1884 and closed in 1989. A railway line from Guyra across to Dorrigo was approved in 1928, and construction began until the onset of the Great Depression put the project on hold. It was never restarted. About 13 kilometres of embankments and cuttings from the Guyra end are the only evidence of the line, and you can still see them today. A short siding runs under the highway still to an abandoned complex I think might have been the old meatworks. Welcome to Ben Lomond. Now this is the highest railway station in New South Wales, or at least it was until the Perisher ski tube opened. Yep, the winds are still too strong for drones, but let's go have a look around the station at ground level.
The rails and the loading banks are still here, but nowadays the sheep graze on the line rather than being carried on the line. Well, here we are in Glen Innes. This station opened with the line in 1884 and the line north of here closed in 1989. This was one of the most substantial stations on the whole Great Northern Line. Let's have a look. There was a proposal to extend the Inverell branch line to Glen Innes at one point, but this never eventuated. And look at this beautiful station. From what I've read, I think all of the stations, or most of the stations that we've seen so far in New South Wales were of the design of John Whitten, who was a chief architect to the New South Wales government at the time. Late 1800s were obviously a real boom time for the expansion of railways, so it's no surprise that the designs are so similar. And perhaps a nod to the once importance of this station, so to speak. I haven't seen a bar yet at a station. Unfortunately, I couldn't get to the old timber truss bridges at Yarraford and over the Severn River, and I kind of had to give Dundee a miss as well. Sorry about that. That's road trip life. Deepwater Station opened in 1886 when the Main North Railway line was extended to Tenterfield. The station was important for the local mining industry, who relied on the freight services to transport resources and equipment to Newcastle or Sydney. The station buildings closed to the public in 1979, and the last service to operate through the station ran in 1989. We're here at the site of the old Bungulla platform. We're just a bit south of Tenterfield. And as you pass through the country from Deepwater to Tenterfield, it's remote, rocky, mountainous, tough terrain around the area of Bluff Rock. It would have been a tough job to build this line, and you can kind of see why the line closed when it did. It would have been hard work maintaining this line. But anyway, we're just about to head into Tenterfield, so stick with us.
At some point, there was a proposal to connect Tenterfield to Casino by rail. That would have been an interesting line.
Welcome to Tenterfield. This station was once described as the Great Northern Terminus, and also described as being one of the most extensive and handsome buildings on the Great Northern Line. The last passenger train left here in 1988, and the station closed a year after. Let's go exploring.
And here's a collection of all the gangers' trolleys and supervisors' cars, which were used all around New South Wales as well as along this line. How cool would it have been to travel along the line in one of these little scoot-along track cars? Now, this is one of the trains you'll see in a lot of the historic images. Yes, that's probably not a good idea.
There was a bit of argy-bargy between the colonial governments as to where the break of gauge would be, whether it would be at Tenterfield or at Wallangarra, but eventually the line was extended to Wallangarra and the break of gauge was taken care of there. We're going to head further north along the line now to Wallangarra, and in the meantime we'll have a look at one of the last remaining truss bridges on the line.
The development of the North Coast Line meant a slow decline for Tenterfield Station and Yard. Passengers preferred the more direct route to Brisbane. The last passenger train left Tenterfield in 1988, and the station closed the following year. After its closure, the building and its contents remained intact, just as they were during the last century, and the building continues to age gracefully under the care of the Tenterfield Railway Museum. This is a major Victorian country first-class station complex, one of the last designed by John Whitton, in its original setting with landscaped forecourt and great support buildings including the former residence, barracks and goods shed. The old timber truss bridge at Sunnyside isn't in great condition. It was completed in 1888 and the last train crossed it just over 100 years later in 1989. The transshipping station and yards at the Wallangarra railway station led to the creation of two towns on the border, Wallangarra on the Queensland side and Jennings on the New South Wales side. Each side of the building had the distinctive awnings and signage of Queensland Railways and New South Wales Railways respectively. The New South Wales side of the station was initially known as Jennings after the town on the New South Wales side, but ultimately became known as Wallangarra.
Welcome to Wallangarra and welcome to Queensland. Wallangarra is a unique break of gauge station directly on a border, so you can stand on the platform and have 1 foot in New South Wales and 1 foot in Queensland. This was where the standard gauge New South Wales government railways met the narrow gauge Queensland railways. Now, this was never really a bogie exchange kind of gauge transfer. It was always transshipment across the platforms. You can see some of the goods platforms down there across the border in what's known as Jennings.
Once the North Coast line opened, it provided a more direct rail route between Sydney and Brisbane, and Wallangarra began to decline. While its importance as a major rail hub was over, things didn't end for Wallangarra there. It continued to be used for local services and saw a resurgence in use during World War II as an inland route and a crucial artery for troops and supplies moving north. After this brief heyday, traffic declined again, and the line was ultimately closed in sections, with passenger services from both Sydney and Brisbane ended in 1972.
that's it, folks. We're here on the platform at Wallangarra. I hope you enjoyed this trip along the line from Armidale to Wallangarra, where I've been able to show you some of the highlights. It's interesting to note that the rail is still in place through New South Wales, even though some places the bridge timbers have rotted away completely and just a string of rails heads across the gully. Normally these railway lines in South Australia, at least I know, would have been ripped up. So thank you for joining me in this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Consider joining the channel as well by hitting the join button below to help support my work. There's heaps more of these videos in the pipeline, and I hope to see you there. See you next time.